Hello, welcome to Anime Mystics. I'm Roman, and tonight I'm watching the Seven Deadly Sins, Season 2, Episode 15. Man. So, last episode, we picked up pretty much right where we left off, with Jericho carrying Ban and Alain away from Galen and Meliscula, I think is her name. I'm not entirely positive that that's her name, but I think it is. As she's running, Galen is playing golf with some boulders as he's he's playing around with them, basically. He's hitting the boulders with his weapon and trying to see if he hits them. One of them is just bouncing and they're able to move out of the way. Well, actually, they don't even move out of the way, which I found rather stupid. I mean, all Jericho had to do was veer to the right or the left, and she'd have been out of the way. But she just keeps running forward. And the only reason it didn't kill her is because she tripped. And then that bounced over her and kept going. The next one had a spin to it, so when it landed in front of them, it started coming forward. Like it bounced once and then rolled forward. Another instance where I thought they should have just ran to the right or left, because the ball didn't go to the right or left, it went straight. So while it was up in the air spinning, she should have moved over, but I don't know, whatever. Anyway, she throws Ban and Alain off of her back and uses her sword to help stop the boulder. It still hits her and she's bleeding and pretty beat up, but she survives and breaks the boulder. Gets Ban and Alain back on her back. Is definitely not running right now. She's walking very slowly because of the damage she just took. And the next boulder that hits pushes her off of a cliff. Them, I should say, off of a cliff. And Alain uses one of her spells, her powers, to cause a gust of wind on the ground that causes them to not get killed. I mean, not that Ban would have died, he would have lived, but it saved Jericho. When they land, she looks over and sees a cave, grabs them, and they're going inside to hide. There are lanterns inside, so she's thinking it's a mine or something, but then finds a door that says, My Sweet Gluttony on it. Everybody who's read the manga, or even saw, I think it was episode 12, 11, whichever one had the end credit scene where they showed this door earlier, knows that this is where Kannur is located. It's his bar. Why he has it in a cave, I couldn't tell you. Probably so, well, I'll get into it later. Anyway, they go inside, Kannur is in there, and he's saying, she mentions, well, there's a bar in here? And he goes, yeah, it's a bar, and you probably guess we don't get a whole lot of customers. And she's like, well, we're not customers either. I need help. And then she collapses because of all the damage she's taken. He runs over to see if she's all right. She says she's fine, but the other two are in pretty bad shape. And he recognizes Ban. It took him a little bit, but the scar and the villainous face, as he said, pretty much made him realize it was Ban. Also, Jericho told him that it was Ban. He then backs up and asks, is she the Leon's holy knight who has captured him? And is she there to get him now? she doesn't know that he's a sin. As far as she knows, she keeps calling him an old man, but he doesn't look that old. As far as she knows, he's just some older guy who has a bar in a cave, and they need him to hide them because they're being chased. Which she mentions, and he hides them in the back. And right as they close the door, Galen and Meliscula show up, cut the bar in half. Well, not really the bar, but they cut the mountain in half and show where the bar is. And they're kind of surprised, I'm pretty positive I sensed those three in here. They decide to take this opportunity to take a break. Well, Galen does anyway, and he starts drinking the alcohol, which he says is really good, and is surprised by how far alcohol has come in the last 3 years. And Meliscula is telling him, we're supposed to be taking over humanity, so can we go? And he pours her a cup and says, don't be such a, spoil sport or whatever, and hands her a drink. Says, here, just have a drink. And then she says the same thing, and says that she likes a certain drink that he has. And Escanor's telling her that's Barnea Ale, and goes into the details of it. And she's kind of like, you know a lot about alcohol. And he goes, well, I'm a bar master, so it's kind of my job. And she says that he passes, and that he'll live even when they wipe out humanity. Which he was about to say thank you, but then when he realized what she just said, kind of freaks out. Galen explains who they are, and then tells him, we already know that the three that we're chasing are in that back room over there. But seeing as how they're on the verge of death, and I'm in a good mood, I am going to give you the opportunity to save everybody. And he starts what he calls the Galen game. Asks Escanor if he'll accept the challenge. Says he's pretty good at games, not much of a fighter, but And Galen tells him the rules, which are it's a game to the death. They will both take turns attacking each other, and the first one to die loses. If Escanor wins, then they're all spared. But if he loses, then they all die. I think that kind of makes sense. If Galen is dead, then he's not going to kill all three of them. But that doesn't mean that Meliscula can't. And Escanor asks him, what if I don't accept the challenge? And he's all, well, then I'll just kill everybody right now. Which basically gave him no choice, so he accepted. And Galen smacks him on the back, saying, good, well said, and, starts going on saying, now that you've accepted the game, you cannot back out, because the commandment of truth will turn you to stone if you do, and that the rules apply to him as well. So if something were to happen and he backs out of the game, he'll turn to stone. Meliscula notices that Escanor isn't listening and tells him, I think you hit him a little too hard. And Galen's like, I just gave him a tap. And he's out the entire night. And throughout the entire night, Galen and Meliscula are drinking. And she's mentioning that it's starting to get hot. So does Jericho. She starts saying that it's getting hot. And Ban, he wakes up and is worried. He's like, oh, is it morning already? And Galen notices the axe that's hanging above the door, where his bar is. And he tries to pick it up to kind of take a closer look at it, but he can't lift it. As soon as he takes it off the wall, it falls to the ground. And then he starts commenting about how the dimensions are off because its handle is not long enough for a two-handed axe, but he's trying to lift it with two hands. So this is where Escanor wakes up. The other Escanor, I'll call him. The powerful Escanor. The one that Meliodas said is stronger than he is. And when they show him, because he grabs the axe and he's holding it with one hand, they show him he's like grown taller. He's much more muscular. The shirt he's wearing is ripping as his body is getting larger. And he tells them, who he is. He's the 7 deadly sins, sin of pride, and calls himself Escanor-sama. Also claiming that he stands atop all clans. Human, fairy, demon, angel, all clans. Which the two of them take as just arrogance and pride. Thinking that he's nothing but talk. But they don't know Escanor. And when Galen mentions that, they kind of laugh for a little bit, and then Escanor swipes his axe through him and cuts his body in half. Meliscula is like shocked because nobody has ever been able to do that. But obviously Galen isn't going to be killed by that. He brings himself back together. And Galen uses his magic, something called Critical Over, which, according to Meliscula, increases his magic and physical power. And in that state, he has a battle power of 40,000. I think it went up from 25,000. So a 15,000 power increase. And then Galen hits him with his spear hard enough to where it causes like a huge explosion, like as far as dust goes, and cuts off the tops of 2 nearby mountains. And now that Escanor is out, Merlin can sense him and actually tells Meliodas, I sense him. And she starts saying, his power is increasing as time goes by. She had stopped saying his power at 50,060, which is 10,060 more than Galen's. In fact, when they go back to him, Escanor doesn't even look bothered by the attack, and is, as he said, disappointed. And Meliscula is trying to tell Galen, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. And he's telling her, no, I can't back out of my word. And says, all right, we'll keep going until one of us is dead. And Escanor is all like, all right, well, it's my turn now. Lifts his axe up into the sky, where it creates a big ball of energy around it. And Galen just gets scared. And then Escanor lowers his axe. Again, talks about how disappointed he is. And then they show that Galen tried to run away and was turned to stone. He then gives Meliscula the option of running away or dying. And Meliscula, obviously, being cocky about her powers, said she'd give him a quick death, put him in the cocoon of darkness, and removed his soul and then ate it. Normally, this would end the fight for anybody, but not Escanor. Escanor's soul apparently is so powerful that it burned her from the inside out, releasing itself and going back into him. And then she, just on fire, falls off of a cliff and then splits in two, and that's all we see of her. I'm pretty positive she's not dead, though, because All she did was get set on fire and get split in half. I'm pretty sure she can regenerate from that. Then Escanor turns to Ban and them and tells him, I got business with you, but it's almost noon, so you just stay here, and I'll be back at night. And so he jumps away, comes back. Ban introduces him to the others, and he's asking questions, where's the captain, blah, blah, blah. And Escanor says he wants to go back with the Sins, but he has one more job to do, and asks Ban and them to help out, which is, he just has to make a delivery. Hopefully Galen didn't drink all of his supply. Then we go and we see Diane with Matrona. Matrona's doing a dance, some kind of, I think, warrior dance. And Diane is telling her that she probably would have had a lot more fun if she was just a dancer. And so Matrona tells her, okay, well, you'll be a dancer then. And then it ends. I took 16 minutes explaining that. Because I remembered, I think, pretty much everything about that episode. But that's what happens when you watch it and then watch everybody else's reactions to it, including the foreign language ones. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm assuming it's going to pick up right where it left off, either with Ban and Escanor or with Diane. So let's get into this and see what happens. So the video is going to be located over here, and the link to the reaction is going to be in the description down below. And we're going to start this episode in 3, 2, 1.